Hi friends, my name is Mara Vial from Vial Designs, and in today's video I'll show you how you can do calligraphy with your Crayola markers. Yes, you can get the same effect of a brush pen using either a Crayola Brow Tip or Crayola Super Tip markers. They are more available everywhere and definitely cheaper. So let's dive right in. These are the Crayola markers that I'm going to be using. I got them at Walmart, but they're also available at Amazon, and I'll put the link down below, as well as these Tombow Dual Brush pens, and I'm going to show you how they compare to these brush pens. So as you can see, the tip is a little bit large, and this is what most people use to do brush calligraphy. I really do like these brush pens, but I also know they're not easily available in every country. That's why I am going to show you how you can achieve the same type of calligraphy that you would with the Tombow Dual brush pens, that you're going to be able to use your Crayola markers to do calligraphy. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that we will be using the Crayola Pro line and also the Crayola Super Tip. But one thing you want to make sure is that it doesn't really have to be a Crayola marker. I know there are some other brands that are even cheaper than Crayola, and the only thing you want to make sure is that the tip, as you can see right here, it has this kind of like cone shape to it, and this is what we need to be able to achieve the thin upstrokes and the thick downstrokes. So even if you don't have a Crayola marker, but you have a different brand and it has this same type of tip, then you will be able to create calligraphy with those type of markers too. Now let's talk paper. I'm going to be using this HP 32-pound paper, which is very smooth, and I will put the link to it down below. This is the same type of paper that I use with my brush pens, but you don't have to use this pen with Crayola markers, and that's a great thing about it. You can use regular printed paper that your Crayola markers are not going to get easily damaged. Now let's talk about how you should be holding your Crayola marker. You want to make sure that it's like at a 45-degree angle and it's not like straight up how you will write normally. It is very important that your pen is at an angle, because that's how you will be able to achieve the thin and thick downstrokes that we need for calligraphy. So the thing that distinguishes calligraphy is the thin upstrokes and the thick downstrokes. These two are the difference that you want to make with your Crayola markers every time you're doing calligraphy. And basically every time you go up, you're not going to apply any pressure to your pen, and then when you go down, you're going to apply a lot of pressure. So before you start writing any words or letters, I definitely recommend you to do these basic drills so you get used to the thin strokes and the thick down strokes that you need in calligraphy. Remember, when you're going up, no pressure, and then when you're going down, a lot of pressure. I want to go over all the basic calligraphy strokes that you need to practice to master the thin upstrokes and the thick downstrokes. This worksheet, you can have it for free on my blog, and I'm going to be going over all of the different calligraphy strokes that you need to practice before you move into creating words or letters. So first, we're going to be doing the upstroke, which, like I said before, you don't apply any pressure when you're going up. One thing that can help you is repeat it in your mind every time. No pressure going up, no pressure going up, and when you're going down, a lot of pressure going down. This will really help you to link your mind with your hand and make sure that when you're going up, you don't apply pressure to the marker, and when you go down, you apply a lot of pressure. So now I'm going to show you how you will do the downstrokes with a Tombow Dual brush pens, and I'm going to show you how similar these two markers are when you're doing the downstrokes. So same here, I will apply pressure to the downstroke, and as you can see, it's almost the same that you will get the downstrokes. And now I'm going to do the two combined, the upstrokes and the downstrokes. And I'm going to finish the drills with the Crayola marker, same thing, no pressure going up and a lot of pressure going down. Sometimes I even like the Crayola markers better for the upstrokes because they are a lot better to control than the brush pens. And now we're going to be moving on to the entrance strokes. And the same, since your pen is going to be going up, you're not going to apply any pressure. So next are the undertone strokes, which is basically an U, and this might be a little bit trickier, but this will help you with the transition between thick strokes and thin down strokes. So make sure you don't move your pen. You always want to keep it at the same angle, and what's going to change is the pressure that you apply to it. So as always, when you go down, you apply a lot of pressure, and then as you're going to start moving up, you're going to start releasing that pressure, and that's what's going to help you with the transition. So you don't need to move your pen or anything, just make sure you change the pressure that you put into the pen. Moving on with the basic calligraphy strokes, now we're going to be working on the overturn stroke. Don't worry if at first your strokes don't look exactly like mine or exactly how they are in this worksheet. They do require a lot of practice, and the more you practice, the better they will get, I promise that. Again, you can get this free basic calligraphy strokes worksheet from my blog, and I'm going to put the link down below. Moving into the reverse compound stroke, and again, these basic calligraphy worksheets are going to help you master the transition between thick and thin strokes, and will help you when you are ready to build your letters. Now we're going to start working on the ovals. And one thing you want to make sure is that you start from the side, and as you see here, I do have these red marks with where you should start and where you should finish the drills, so this should give you an idea of exactly where to start every single calligraphy drill. And you don't start at the top, you will start on the side, because this is going to help you with transitions. So always make sure you start at the side, you go thin, and then as you going down, you put pressure, you release the pressure, and then you meet in the center. Next tutorial is called descending stem loop, and I'm going to speed up a little bit this video, but make sure you take your time every time you're practicing these calligraphy drills. Now we're moving on to the ascending stem loop, and if your drills don't look exactly like mine, don't worry, because I've been practicing for a long time. So if you start and you get this worksheet, if they don't look the same, it's going to take a little bit of time to practice. So don't give up, just keep practicing, and they will look way better over time as you keep practicing. So now that you have some time to practice the basic calligraphy drills, we're going to be moving on to forming letters and words using your Crayola markers to do calligraphy. So I'm going to be using some pages from my printable workbook for beginners, and on each page you're going to have each letter broken down into parts. So I'm going to show you exactly how each letter is going to be formed, and it has in there the numbers in which you should be doing each calligraphy stroke. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you exactly how slow you should be doing calligraphy. It is definitely meant to be slow. Take your time when you're practicing calligraphy. So you should be doing it that slow, and here is a speed up part. Now let's compare how the Tombow Dual Brush Pen will work with these worksheets. And as you can see, I'm going to be going slow as well. And to me, is pretty much the same. They have the same thickness in the downstroke and very similar in the upstrokes. So let's go back to the Crayola marker, and so you can see how similar they are. So if you have access to the brush pens, you can go ahead and go for them, but if you don't have access to them, the Crayola markers will work just as fine when you are doing calligraphy. And I'm going to show you the Crayola Super Tips, and you can see how similar it is. Even though this Crayola Super Tip appears to be smaller, the thickness that you can get is very comparable to the dual brush and the Crayola broadline. What I love about these markers is that they come on like 100 different colors, and they're not as expensive as the Tombow dual brush pen. So that is a huge benefit, that you can get these markers, the Crayola Broadline and the Crayola Super Tips, they come in a ton of different colors, and they're definitely cheaper than the brush markers. So this is a great alternative for you to practice your calligraphy using your Crayola markers, or really any type of markers that had the tip like this. So one thing that you're going to notice when you'll be practicing for a while and you've been applying pressure to your pen is that the tip is going to start bending a little bit towards one side. So very easy, what you do is you press it towards the opposite side on a scrap piece of paper and it's going to go back to normal. That's another great thing about these Crayola markers, that the tip is very durable. So even if you put a lot of pressure on them and the tip starts to bend, don't worry, just press it towards the opposite side and it's gonna go right back to normal. Another super helpful tip that I'm going to give you is to, once you finish practicing each letter individually, put them together and start practicing the whole alphabet, and this is going to help you with letter connections before you start writing the actual words. This worksheet is from my Mother Calligraphy workbook. It is a printable and I'm going to put the link in the comments so you can have access to it. I have it in English and Spanish, so if you see a letter that doesn't belong here, don't worry. I went ahead and updated the workbook right after I finished filming this video. The one that you're going to be getting, it doesn't have this weird letter. So you learn something new. The Spanish alphabet has one extra letter on it. So yeah, this exercise, you can do it anytime you get a new brush pen that you want to practice. If you haven't practiced in a while, it's always good to go back to the basic calligraphy drills and then practice this alphabet. Now let's go over some of the uppercase letters, and in the book I go step by step of how you need to form each of them, and they are numbered as well, so you know which one to do first, and if it's going up, so you know that you won't apply any pressure, and down that you will apply pressure to your pen. So now let's put everything together, and now that you learn your lowercase letters, your uppercase letters, let's put together some common words and phrases. Also, I wanted to give you a couple of tips that can help you when you're doing calligraphy with your Crayolas. As always, remember, no pressure going up and then a lot of pressure going down. And it's also important that you pause between each stroke that you're making as you are forming the letters, because this is going to help you kind of like reset and know that when you're going up, no pressure, when you're going down, a lot of pressure. Because if you keep the same pressure throughout your calligraphy, when you're using your Crayola markers, it's gonna look like this. I applied the same amount of pressure. I was putting too much pressure on the pen, and that's why almost all the letters look exactly the same, and you can't really notice the difference between the thick and the thin strokes. Another mistake that you do is doing calligraphy as if you were doing cursive lettering. You keep going, you do it continuously, and you don't stop between each stroke. So that is not gonna help you when you're trying to achieve the thin and thick strokes in calligraphy. So remember, pause every time you're doing a stroke, and that's gonna help you to change the pressure on your pen, and also that's going to help you to have even spacing between your letters when you're doing calligraphy. And this is the same if you're using Crayola markers or if you're using your regular brush pens. So these are a couple of things that you want to make sure you keep in mind as you're doing calligraphy. So if you think your letters are not spaced out evenly, it might be because you're going too fast and you're not stopping between each stroke. Also, if you don't have the thin and thick downstrokes difference, it might be because of the pressure that you're applying with the pen, and all of that is going to come with a lot of practice. So I always say practice, 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 and then keep practicing some more so you achieve the thin upstrokes, the thick downstrokes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you find this video helpful and give calligraphy a try. Even if you don't have brush pens, you can always use your Crayola markers. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Remember that you can have access to the free calligraphy drills worksheet from my blog at vldesigns.com. I'm gonna put a link to it. And also, I have this modern calligraphy workbook. It is a printable. I'm gonna put the link to it down below as well.